Brad Riddell versus RAFAEL FIZIEV, man. Number 12 versus number 14 in the lightweight division. A lot of lightweights fighting around this time, man. But this is close odd. Look at that. Minus 105 is Riddell. Minus 115 for the Tiger Muay Thai fighter and RAFAEL FIZIEV. AJ, man, I have to ask you this. Brad Riddell, he was an underdog in his last fight, man. You know, against Drew Dober. Got the job done, man. Plus money. You love to see it. This might be another one of those situations, even though the odds are much more tightly contested. But either way, this is going to be a fun matchup because both of these dudes have incredible kickboxing. But there's one key difference, one X factor that separates these fighters, AJ, and that Brad Riddell could wrestle his ass off, brother. And he did it against Drew Dober. And that's another one of those things where it's like, if you can do it against Dober, I mean, you're pretty fucking legit, you know what I mean? Yes, did Dober get manhandled by Islam Makhachev? Yeah, he did, man. But even still to be in that category with these top grappling fighters, man, it's very impressive. So 10-1 a piece for these fighters, AJ. Is that a little odd to you, man? Brad Riddell, he feels like he's been a bigger fixture, you know what I mean? Even though he has only 11 fights in his MMA career. FIZIEV, now 10-1 makes sense for that, just because he's been storming on the scene, doing his thing. He's a Tiger Muay Thai coach, all that. I think that these guys have much more martial arts experience than what their MMA record shows, brother. Who do you think is the more experienced martial artist, in your opinion?
Oh, man, I'd have to say FIZIEV on that one, only because he's spending a little bit more time, not just solely in the cage, but analyzing it on the outside as well. So he's able to get that kind of dual juxtaposition approach going forward, while Brad Riddell is kind of sticking to his path, which could be a blessing or a curse on that one. It'll be interesting to see, but I'd lean a little bit more toward FIZIEV, even though I agree with you, Brad Riddell does have the advantage on the ground for that one. What do you think, though?
I think FIZIEV too, just because you're bathed and entrenched in Thailand, man. Being a coach at Tiger Muay Thai, just seeing the true Muay Thai, from the motherland, all that good stuff. I mean, Brad Riddell. Then again, he's a kickboxer fighting out of city kickboxing, and you know what I'm saying, New Zealand out there, man. So it's difficult to say, but yeah, I'd probably lean with FIZIEV in there. But either way, it doesn't matter how much of a martial artist you are. It depends on how much of a mixed martial artist you are when you step into the cage, man. 30 years old is Riddell, 28 is FIZIEV, 5'8" apiece, 71-inch reach for both of these fighters, I believe, man. So very even matchup here, AJ. This has been the toughest fight for me to decipher in my own head on how does it happen, man? FIZIEV, nonstop volume, kicks, multiple long combinations in the hands. Brad Riddell, he's a little more of a pot shotter, a little bit, you know what I mean? But he's accurate as hell, man. And timing beats power, precision beats speed, you feel me? So when it comes down to it, my man, the jab left hook for Riddell is going to be working, but then FIZIEV is going to be working body kicks, which is going to set up his whole offense. I think that FIZIEV could win this fight on points just by being the busier fighter. But if Riddell could sneak in a couple takedowns, that could change everything. This is literally neck and neck in my book. Like, this is coin flip, basically. Like, this should be minus 105, minus 105. Pick 'em. Do you feel the same? How do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, I feel the same. And this is one of the fights that I was alluding to earlier where I was like, I wonder who the favorite is. Because right there, you hit the nail on the head, man. I feel like FIZIEV is going to be a little bit busier, stay a little bit mobile, have the dog in the fight where he's kind of bouncing around, piecing you up. And Brad Riddell has that X factor, being able to take it to the ground if he needs to. The difference to me, what was going on in my mind when I was analyzing this fight, Brad Riddell in his last fight against Dober got cracked early and was able to recover because Drew Dober was willing to wrestle. He was like, oh, okay, yeah, I hurt you. We're going to wrestle it out now. Cool, I'm able to get a finish there. Whereas FIZIEV, he hurts you. He's going to stay hitting you 3, 4, 5, 6 shots back and forth, man. And you let this dude get a little bit of advantage, and then he's going to start feeling that confidence going forward. It's going to be a long night for Brad Riddell going. But if Brad Riddell is able to get those takedowns, that up and down battle, because I think FIZIEV is pretty well skilled on the ground, not as well skilled as Riddell, but he's still able to get up. He's still able to have the fundamentals to get things going and survive the fight. Now, who's going to win and actually how it goes, that'll be interesting to see. But the lightning fast hands of FIZIEV is going to be very impressive against how Brad Riddell, because he's very much a plotter. And if you stay plotting head on the center line against a striker like FIZIEV, dude, it's going to be a bloody mess. You're going to be blurred up a little bit. It's going to be interesting.
You know what? I'm gonna push back a little bit, on you on that one, man. I don't know if Drew Dober was like, "Oh, let's wrestle on this one." What I remember from the first time that Riddell got cracked, he immediately shot for the leg, shot for a double, right? And what did Dober do? He did what you're supposed to do, sprawled back, right? But Riddell stayed on those two legs. He kept pushing, kept pushing. He has fantastic cage wrestling, and he was able to force Dober up against the cage. And from that point on, he was able to kind of recover, do that. Now, then, did Dober try to just push him off and separate immediately? No, but I don't think that it was as much of, oh, let's wrestle, as, oh, damn, this dude's strong. He got me up against the cage. Like, let me be careful now. So Fizieve, who has 100% takedown defense, that's the big X factor, right? Look at who he's fought, man. In his last fight, it was Bobby Green. In the fight before that, it was Renato Moicano. Moicano shot in for one takedown before getting knocked out. It was a double leg, and he just kind of like, there, oh, I don't got it? Okay, I'm backed out, right? But he hasn't gone up against somebody who's like nonstop, I'm trying to take you down, nonstop, all day long, right? And Riddell, I think he has those capabilities. So that's the unknown, though. That's literally the X in our equation, in our formula here. Is the takedowns of Brad Riddell going to be too much for Fizieve? And is the takedown defense of Fizieve and the striking prowess going to be too much for Riddell? It's interesting. But when you talk about multifaceted fighters, I just think Riddell's a little more of a well-rounded fighter. Could you, it's like, at least see where I'm coming from there?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, I feel like he is. If you were to take in encompassing all of the mixed martial arts, I feel like Brad Riddell is a little bit more well-rounded.
Yeah.
Maybe not a lot, but a decently well-rounded more than Fizieve. Whereas Fizieve just likes what he likes, so he likes to strike, so he does it. He does have that ground chops; he can get it done. Obviously, he can defend a takedown, 100% takedown defense, but it's against the level of competition who's taking you down. That's the next question.
Exactly, man. So one thing that I do have to note about Fizieve is that because of the ridiculous amount of volume that he puts out, he averages 5.34 significant strikes landed per minute at a 52% clip, man. Like, this dude's just nonstop, right? He slows down a little bit come around 2 and 3. So he starts off a lot of lateral motion, you know what I mean? A lot of feints. Everything is a feint, lateral, moving, get you kind of moving. Round 2, a little slower. Round 3, head on that center line, getting cracked. He eats shots, brother. He eats shots, but he'll take one to give 1, 2, 3, or 4. You know what I'm saying? So Brad Riddell, and because Fizieve is also a switch fighter, Brad Riddell, he has this beautiful step-in right cross that he uses against southpaws. So I think that's something you're going to have to look out for Fizieve if he does enter that southpaw stance. Brad Riddell, he doesn't, how would you say it? Telegraph. He doesn't telegraph at all, man. It's not like a wind up punch. It's just straight boop. You know what I mean? And it cracks, man. And listen, the big win that Brad Riddell got for me, and maybe I'm overvaluing this win, was against Jamie Mullarkey. Jamie Mullarkey, come on, brother. You already know. Like, this dude, like, he's a tough motherfucker, man. And he had a big upset, I think, in his last fight, man. So it's one of those things where I'm like, all right, you got the win over Mullarkey. He knocked out Mustafayev. Or he didn't knock out. He got a split decision against Mustafayev. But Mustafayev knocked out Fizieve. So that's telling right there. Got a big win against Alex Da Silva. And then Drew Dober. Come on, man. So, all right, ultimately for the breakdown on this one, man. My assessment is that if Brad Riddell can survive the first round and get it into the later rounds, I think he has a better shot at winning. I think if the fight ends early, Fizieve all day. I think that's all day long. I don't really see Riddell being like, I'm just going to knock out Fizieve in 1 or 2. Listen, honestly, the knockout that Mustafayev got on Fizieve, like, that was very fluky if you really think about it, man. This dude has been basically flawless aside from that. But I guess it's time for the picks, man. The over and under is 2.5 rounds. I'm going to go over. I think this one's going to go to a decision personally, my man. I just think the firepower between both of these is going to be a little bit too much. A little similar to the Mullarkey versus Riddell fight, but I'm picking Brad Riddell via decision, brother. Who are you going with and why?
Yeah, this is a very hard fight for me to call. I can easily see that Brad Riddell by decision win. But I feel like, man, just something was telling me I'm going for Fizieve and I'm going by KO and I'm going with the under just by slightly. KO round 2, man. I think it's going to be a fun one. Riddell has the better of the ground game. It's just, oh, man, there was something telling me going with the striker on this one. I think Fizieve can get it done.
Well, those are the best fights, right? When you're so conflicted and you're like, oh, it's just a coin toss. I can go this way or that way, man. So when you get that gut feeling, that's what wins you the week sometimes. Intuition right there. Trust your gut, man. It's an evolution, man. We've developed this as a human species over, thousands of years or whatever the case may be. So trust that gut, when you get that feeling, folks. You know what time it is.